So the penultimate weekend of Championship football has concluded, and for the second season in a row, the relegation battle is going to the final day of the season. Let's go and talk about it. What's up everyone, welcome back to a brand new video on the channel. Today we're going to talk about my review for match day 45 of the Championship. The final week of Championship football is happening this week. I'm going to promise you guys I will be uploading the build up for the final week of the Championship, and you will see my live stream of FIFA 21 doing its final predictions later today as well. If you guys got a correct score, your comment will be on the screen right now. Well done all of you. All of you had a fantastic game week, much better than mine. I only got one correct score, which was the one Premier League game, Crystal Palace and Manchester City. And what does this do to the Lexus Hall of Fame? This. Now I'm knocked down to third place. Joshua Food and Charlie Brown both on 91 points. I'm on 90 points. Of course, we've got a couple of Premier League games and we've got one Championship game to predict, Luton and Rotherham. So those games could make the difference in terms of who can win the Lexus Hall of Fame overall. This is what the Championship Lexus Hall of Fame looks like as well. So well done to all of you guys getting some points. If you guys want to get some points to the Lexus Hall of Fame, make sure you comment your predictions in the comments down below. Without any further ado, let's go on and talk about the drama that went on this weekend. So the start off with Sheffield Wednesday and Nottingham Forest. They keep their Championship safety alive with a 0-0 draw. It was a frustrating game to watch if you were a Sheffield Wednesday fan, because there just wasn't enough impetus. There was not enough energy that suggested to me that the Sheffield Wednesday side were going to completely turn around their form. Nottingham Forest didn't really turn up, but yeah, again, they didn't really need to turn up. They already wrapped up their Championship safety. They didn't really have a lot to play for. It was more on Sheffield Wednesday whether they can handle the pressure and see if they can get a couple of goals within them. And the first half especially, they created close to nothing. It was a really bad first half. The game spurned to life when Nottingham Forest got a penalty poor from Westwood and Adam Reach, literally carelessly passing out from the back. The pass from Reach was poor. Knockaert won it and Westwood took down Knockaert to win a penalty. Lewis Grabban, who scored his last penalty a couple of weeks ago against Birmingham, missed this one by Kieran Westwood making the save, and that save could prove pivotal, because if Westwood hadn't have saved it and Sheffield Wednesday lost, Sheffield Wednesday would have already been relegated to League One by now. Sheffield Wednesday, for me, is now in their own hands now. They've got an away game against Derby. If they win against Derby and Rotherham cannot win their last game against Cardiff, then Sheffield Wednesday are safe. It's going to be an unbelievable end to the season. And then to the 3 o'clock games, the result that really took me out the blue a little bit. Birmingham 0, Cardiff 4. Now, it was interesting. In fact, I didn't actually see the starting 11 for Birmingham, but Lee Bowyer made 6 changes to the squad that managed to beat Derby by 2-1, ensuring their Championship survival. I think he really wanted to try and get some youth some minutes, including Zach Geacock in goal, who only made his second appearance since the opening day of the season, actually. But he made some couple of great saves. Obviously, it would have been a bit more of an embarrassing result for Birmingham. It was Harry Wilson's game to lose, who, of course, wants to find a permanent club after having 5 consecutive known spells. He has really raised his value with his performance, let me tell you. His first goal was a fantastic lobbed effort. It was Mark Roberts who gave the ball away from the back, but a fantastic delivery, actually, that managed to catch Geacock out, not being in his goal, making it 1-0 to Cardiff. And in the second half, it pretty much was all Cardiff. Birmingham had their odd moment here and there, but they didn't really have anything clear-cut, only having one shot on target in the entire game, which was disappointing. It was Harry Wilson who again scored his second goal. It was from a low free kick. 3-0, it was a fantastic counter-attack goal, actually led by Wilson. Then it was to Josh Murphy in the left-hand side, and a fantastic pass which found Mark Harris, making it 3-0. And then 4-0, Harry Wilson once again, a free kick, an even better free kick than his first one to make it 4-0. As with Birmingham, a poor defeat on their part, but I don't think they're going to mind too much now for the fact they have ensured Championship survival. And for the young players that managed to get some minutes, it's good for them to get some Championship experience. And then we saw Brentford secure third place for the second time in 2 years with a 2-0 victory over Watford. It now puts them on 84 points, agonising for Brentford that would have been enough to get them automatically promoted from last year. So just goes to show that the top two just really took it up a level in terms of quality this year. It was Watford that actually had the first opportunity, Tom Cleverley with a fantastic save by David Raya. It was Marcus Forss that got the first goal actually, and it was brilliant play actually by Fosu finding Sergi Canos, who then squared it well to Forss to make it 1-0 to Brentford. And Watford did have moments here and there, but once again, it wasn't anything too threatening. It made it 2-0 when Ivan Toney skipped through the box. Siri Alta fouled Toney to win the penalty. And Ivan Toney, with that penalty, he has scored his 30th league goal of the season, equaling Glenn Murray's record. He now needs one more to beat the record. Can he do it in the final game of the season? I mean, who knows? But it's an unbelievable season that Ivan Toney is having with Brentford. Both sides hit the woodwork in the final few moments, again with success for Watford and Canos for Brentford. But it was a fair result. I think Brentford had earned that win. As with Watford, I think the only bitter thing they'll have on that is that they are now confirmed not to be champions of the Championship. But obviously, Huddersfield confirmed they had Championship survival with a 1-1 draw against Coventry. Now, I'm really concerned with Huddersfield. I've got to be honest with you. Even though they did pick up a draw, which they could look as a somewhat positive result, their performance, and especially from the confidence, I'm not really getting a lot of it. And Coventry, you know, aside from are newly promoted, you know, they really did flat out play Huddersfield for quite a fair bit in that game, especially in the second half. In the first half, they looked okay, Huddersfield. They looked like they could actually muster a couple of chances. But it was Coventry that looked more confident. They had a new lease of life. And it was when Jordan Shipley was brought on by Mark Robins as a substitute that Coventry started to get more meaningful opportunities. Victor Gaiorquez worked really well with him. He had a couple of opportunities. One opportunity making a fantastic save by Sheffield, tipping onto the post. Gaiorquez also missed a chance one-on-one where Sheffield made a save as well. But it was Shipley that managed to get the goal, and it was poor from Huddersfield part, giving away the ball from playing out at the back. Shipley won it, and he capitalised to make it 1-0. And I think it was justified because I do think Coventry were potentially robbed of a penalty with a potential handball by Richard Keogh. But Huddersfield, within 10 minutes later, they managed to get back into it. And it's poor goalkeeping by Ben Wilson. He couldn't collect a corner. It fell kindly to Danny Ward to smash the ball in to make it 1-1. A pretty meaningless result, really. Both these sides have now established their Championship survival now. And both these sides will need a small rebuilding job in the Championship when they move on to next season, especially for Huddersfield's sake. I've only seen another meaningless game end 1-1. And this game really got to life within a 2-minute spell. It was Glenn Reid that managed to get the first goal for Luton, which I think they made their chances and early quality count. It was from a James Bree corner. Cal Naismith won the header, which Jordan Archer made a great save to tip it onto the bar. But then Glenn Reid managed to header from about 2 yards out to make it 1-0. But literally from the next opportunity of game for Middlesbrough, they managed to get their goal. It was fantastic play actually by Johnson in the left-hand side. He managed to find Duncan Watmore with him managing to head it into the net to make it 1-1. And either way, both these sides probably should have had their chances. Middlesbrough especially, it was a bit disappointing for the fact they only had one shot on target. Both sides weren't really looking like they had so much quality going forward. They were really, really wasteful. And especially Luton being wasteful for the fact they won a penalty. And it was James Collins who stepped up, who has been somewhat reliable-ish on the spot, but his penalty was very, very poor, and Jordan Archer made a very, very easy save to read the penalty. It doesn't really bother either side. Both these sides are around a mid-table position. Luton have got a midweek game against Rotherham, and I think that game is going to be more telling on Rotherham's season than it is for Luton's part. And then a huge home win from Millwall as they thrashed Bristol City by 4-1. And with every performance from Bristol City, they just seem to look to get worse. I don't see any form of improvement, unfortunately, and it's really surprising and shocking in my opinion. Likewise with Huddersfield, their performances have not looked fantastic near the tail end of the season, and these are two sides I do worry about next season if they cannot improve their squad. Millwall took the lead. It was Jake Cooper with a long looping ball finding Jed Wallace to make it 1-0. But it was a fantastic debut goal by Tommy Conray, the 18-year-old, receiving a perfectly timed free ball by Henry Lansbury to take it past Bielkowski to make it 1-1. And we thought that this was potentially going to be the youngsters' best footballing day ever. But unfortunately, Millwall ran right, especially past the half-hour mark. Scott Malone managed to regain Millwall's lead. In the second half, it was pretty much the worst possible start. It was a goalmouth scramble, and the defenders literally just couldn't clear the ball. If they cleared the ball, then they would not have had this goal. Eventually, the ball fell to Billy Mitchell, and bang, what a fantastic half volley into the top right corner to make it 3-1 to Millwall. And then the game was game, set, and match when Tom Bradshaw managed to rob the ball of Tom Callis, cheaply giving the ball away 1-on-1 to make it 4-1 to Millwall. It now strengthens their chances of Millwall ending in the top half of the table. As with Bristol City, they fall as low as 19th place now. They could even finish as low as 20th if they didn't have a good result their final game of the season. Then this game confirms Norwich as champions as they beat Reading by 4-1. It was a walk in the park in the end. Although Reading had a fantastic start actually. They got their goal from a free kick, fantastically set up by Elise, and then headed away by Josh Laurent into the net to make it 1-0 to Reading. And it was pretty much even Stevens for a good 50 or 60 minutes of that game. Kieran Dow managed to make it 1-1, and it'll be Tommy Holmes who managed to actually clear a goal line opportunity from Timo Pukki, who will be to blame. He passes the ball needlessly to Cabral, and then Pukki wins it back, and then it's Kieran Dow with an easy opportunity into net to make it 1-1. And in the second half, Reading kept it tight, and they restricted Norwich. But until it got to the 60-minute mark, that was when we saw Norwich start to gain control. They started getting more possession and more meaningful opportunities. And that is when Norwich ran riot. Kieran Dow with his second goal once again. Then 3-1 when Xavi Quintilla shot a fantastic free kick in the top left corner. And then 4-1 with Timo Pukki. Once again, a mistake by Tom Holmes. Left Timo Pukki one-on-one. He got past Cabral. He just simply ran the ball into the net to make it 4-1 to Norwich. And that cued the celebrations. And I'm proud of Norwich, to be honest with you. If they can win their final game against Barnsley, they can get 99 points, which is exactly what the Wolverhampton side got when they got promoted. And that would be the good sign for me, that they could potentially be a good Premier League outfit. And then Preston continued with 3 clean sheets in a row with a 2-0 victory over Barnsley. It was a much changed Barnsley side, albeit in preparing for the playoffs. But this defeat does definitely not help them, and it reduces their opportunity to climb up the table. What was Preston's biggest threat? It was from Tom Barkhuizen throw-ins. And I tell you what, Barnsley could not deal with the throw-ins. They really struggled defensively. Seth Vandenberg had a fantastic opportunity actually, but he just couldn't quite get enough power to divert the shot into the net. And then it was actually Preston's way where they got the lead through Jordan Story, a player who I have criticised quite a bit for being quite defensively naive. But he managed to get the goal, albeit from a goal mouth scramble, and anyone could have got that goal. But Jordan Story was in the right place in the right time to get the goal to make it 1-0. And I've got to give Jordan Story even some more credit, because in the second half, almost immediately after the second half, Preston make it 2. And it was actually Jordan Story who turned to provider this time. From a Tom Barkhuizen throw once again, Jordan Story with a header, and it was Ched Evans with the goal. His 5th goal since joining Preston in January, and since signing a 2-year contract with the club as well. Barnsley definitely turned the screw, and they definitely tried to stall. DK was kept very quiet, but overall it was a fantastic performance, especially from Preston's defence and Daniel Iverson, who had to be more alert in the final 10 or so minutes. And then this draw keeps Rotherham in the race for Championship survival with a 1-1 draw. It started the worst possible way potentially, with Adam Armstrong getting the lead. It was poor by Angus MacDonald, who just gets robbed off the ball far too easily, and Adam Armstrong scores past Blackburn to make it 1-0. But I have to say, Jamal Blackman, one of the best goalkeeping performances I've ever seen in the Championship this season, potentially even ever. Some for saves he was making from Armstrong. There was a header from Bradley Johnson, which was fantastic. There was a save from Sam Gallagher and Joe Rothwell. Honestly, Jamal Blackman was kept so busy throughout that game. He was the very reason why Rotherham still were within it. And Rotherham did have chances of their own. Ogbene had a couple of opportunities. Ladapo looked dangerous at times. But it looked like it was going to be the same old story, with Rotherham looking promising but just cannot finish their chances. But it was a free kick just outside the box. Who would you want in a free kick in that position? Lewis Wing. He hasn't had too many opportunities with free kicks, Lewis Wing, but you know what he can do. He shoots a low free kick past the reach of Kaminski to make it 1-1. A very important goal which could save Rotherham's season. And it was a frantic end. Rotherham nearly score, and then Blackburn nearly score on the counter-attack. It was a manic game, a really entertaining game to watch. Rotherham, it's now in their own hands. They've got their final game in hand in midweek away at Luton. It won't be easy, but if they can get a result, especially against a side that don't have a lot to play for, if they win, they can put Derby within the bottom 3 in the final day of the season. And they've just got to hope that Derby do not lose to Sheffield Wednesday, and that they can get a pretty decent result against Cardiff. And then Stoke and Queen's Park Rangers ended 2-0 to Queen's Park Rangers. Honestly, it could have really gone to either side, but Queen's Park Rangers just definitely looked the better side going forward in terms of an attacking sense. Their first goal, it was poor by Sutar. He had the confidence thinking he can dribble from the ball from the back line, but Lyndon Dykes wins the ball off him, and because he committed forward, there was a huge defensive gap, which then gave enough space to Charlie Austin to score a fantastic goal to make it 1-0 to Queen's Park Rangers. Stoke had a couple of chances. Matondo, John Obi Mikel and Jordan Thompson all came pretty close at times. Matondo looking a really bright spark in that fullback position. But unfortunately, all the big chances were going to Queen's Park Rangers, and they scored their final goal with a brilliant counter-attack actually. And it was Osman Kaikai, who we've not seen a lot of, but he scores the second to make it 2-0 to Queen's Park Rangers. A pretty meaningless game. Both these sides were finishing around a mid-table position. Now, as I don't have enough to say in this game, I want you guys to see this, right? So this is FIFA 21's prediction of Stoke and Queen's Park Rangers. Notice the 2 goal scorers who score in this game. I'm not kidding you guys. They predict Charlie Austin to score first, and then Osman Kai to score the second, and they predicted the correct score over the 90 minutes, 2-0. I promise you guys, although it was different areas of the pitch and different time periods, how creepy is that? And that was predicted a week before this game took place. I mean, unbelievable. I've seen some mad predictions, but that could potentially be one of the craziest predictions I've ever seen from a game ever. Then to the penultimate game, and this game ultimately keeps the relegation battle alive to the end of the season as Swansea complete a comeback within 2 minutes to win 2-1 against Derby County. And I tell you what, their side was much changed following that Swansea are resting some players within the playoffs. But it was Derby that definitely looked the more strength side, and they definitely had the better opportunities, especially in the first half. In the second half, it was when Derby took the lead from Tom Lawrence. It was a great cross by Nathan Byrne, actually, and Tom Lawrence managing to win the header to make it 1-0. And at that moment, Rotherham, Sheffield Wednesday and Wycombe were all relegated. But within a 2-minute period, Swansea get back into it, 1-1. Morgan Whittaker, who else really, managing to get it equaliser. Kelly Roos couldn't quite save it. He scored against his former club to make it 1-1. And then 2-1, it was a fantastic goal by Connor Roberts. What a fantastic volley. Kelly Roos unfortunately couldn't do too much about it to make it 2-1. Just the change of dynamics within 2 minutes as well. 2 minutes ago, all 3 teams were down. Within 2 minutes, all 3 teams now have a chance to survive again. An unbelievable outcome this game was, and honestly one of the most exciting and entertaining games I have seen. Derby, I mean, they've got it in their own hands. They've got a home game against Sheffield Wednesday. If they could beat Sheffield Wednesday, they could definitely condemn Sheffield Wednesday and Wycombe to go down, but they would have to hope that Rotherham do not get a good result in midweek, and they do not get a good result against Cardiff. So this is a really exciting end to the season. And to finish this off, Wycombe would just not go down without a fight. They crack over 40 points with a 1-0 victory over playoff achieving Bournemouth. An unbelievable result, really. Probably their best win of the entire season. And it's Uche Ikpeazu who took the lead 4 minutes in. He does very, very well, actually, to shrug off the tackles from Chris Metham. And he scores a fantastic goal in the top left corner to make it 1-0 to Wycombe. And honestly, this game was actually a bit entertaining. And actually, I was a bit disappointed with Bournemouth. They did look creative going forward, but in terms of chances, they didn't muster anything clear cut, which was very, very disappointing for the side who scored plenty of goals and was a side in the top 6. It was Wycombe having all the chances and the opportunities really that were almost goal bound. Bournemouth near the end of the game had their biggest opportunity with David Brooks having a shot which was fantastically blocked, I think by Stewart actually, and it came off the underside of the post. I tell you what, if that goal went in, Wycombe would have been down. Wycombe will have to win their next game 13-0 at least to have a chance, and hope that Sheffield Wednesday beat Derby and hope that Rotherham lose their next 2 games to survive. Honestly, it's going to be close to impossible, unfortunately, especially to score 13 past the Neil Warnock side. But we've seen some crazier things happen, that's for sure. As with Bournemouth, it's a pretty poor defeat, and they would have to hope that they can respond in their next game. But that wraps up my reaction to match day 45. This is what the championship table looks like. Norwich are champions. Watford automatically promoted. Brentford confirmed 3rd place. Swansea, Bournemouth and Barnsley the final teams in the playoff race. And look at the bottom 4. Derby still on 43. But the bottom 3 now, Rotherham, Sheffield Wednesday and Wycombe all on 40 points. I don't think I've ever seen a bottom 3 like this one. So to end off the video, I'm going to predict what I think will happen in the championship game and also the Premier League games as well. So these are the games taking place in midweek, and I'll predict Luton and Rotherham. And this game is so tough to predict. I've had up to 2 different results in my mind, really. I cannot decide whether I'll go for a Luton win or a draw. I mean, if Rotherham win this, then they put themselves in a great position. I'm going to say a 1-1 draw. I'm very wary for the fact that Rotherham have not scored in their last 4 away games. But I'm going to predict a draw because I think we'll see something from Rotherham and they'll definitely try and get something. But I think Luton will hold firm and keep things tight. But that was enough for today's video. If you guys enjoyed it, please make sure to give this video a like, tremendously helps. Please subscribe to the channel if you haven't done. It would really, really make my day. And please share my channel to as many people as you can. All of that would really, really make my day. But thank you guys so much for watching. You guys are legendary for starting this video. And as always, take care, everyone.